Imagine the salty tang of sea spray whipping across a windswept Merseyside beach in the summer of 1985, where families in faded swimsuits and sunburnt glee huddle around chip wrappers, their laughter mingling with the crash of indifferent waves, and a bespectacled man with a mischievous glint in his eye crouches low, his macro lens drinking in the absurd poetry of it all, not judgment, but a loving wink at the chaos of being human. That man is Martin Parr, born on May 23, 1952, under the earthy resolve of Gemini, in the tidy suburbs of Epsom, Surrey, where the world seemed as orderly as a well-thumbed photo album. At 73 years young, when he slipped quietly from us on December 6, 2025, at his Bristol home after a 4-year dance with the unyielding shadow of cancer, Martin wasn't the stern chronicler of gloom. No, he was the sly bard of the everyday, his vibrant snapshots turning the mundane into mirrors that made us chuckle, cringe, and cherish the quirks that bind us. His life, a kaleidoscope of color and curiosity, reminds us that the greatest art doesn't shout from galleries. It whispers from the edges of a village fete, inviting us to see ourselves anew, with all our glorious, garish imperfection. Envision a boy in Epsom, no taller than a garden gnome, fumbling with his grandfather's old Rolleiflex in the crisp autumn light of 1959, capturing his father's silhouette against a frozen stream, a frozen moment that would thaw into a lifelong obsession. George's keen eye for the frame, that amateur's quiet passion for light and shadow, wasn't just a hobby. It was a spark passed down like a family heirloom, igniting Martin's dreams before he could even tie his shoelaces. Raised in a world of post-war restraint, where Surrey's manicured lawns hid the scars of ration books and rebuilding, Martin's parents, nurturing yet unflashy, nursed his fire without fanfare, his mother perhaps clipping coupons while he dreamed in exposures. By 14, the die was cast. Photography wasn't a whim, it was a vow, a way to pin down the fleeting absurdities that made his heart hum. Manchester Polytechnic from 1970 to 1973 became his crucible, those grainy black and white days under mentors like John Davies sharpening his gaze. But it was the pull of the streets that truly called, teaming up with Daniel Meadows in a battered van, crisscrossing England's fringes to document the lives overlooked by the glossy mags. Their Butlins by the Sea project in 72, a tender ode to holiday camp revelry, where laughter rang louder than the rain on tin roofs. Those early wanderings were Martin's apprenticeship in empathy, a young lensman trading Surrey polish for the raw poetry of the provinces. Picture him in the late 70s, hunkered in Hebden Bridge's misty Yorkshire valleys, his camera a confidant to chapel communities where hymns rose like steam from cobbled streets, the faithful's faces etched with quiet devotion and unspoken doubts. It was there, amid the woolen mills and whispered sermons, that love found him, not in a spotlight, but in the soft glow of shared silences. Susan Mitchell, a woman whose warmth matched the moor's wild bloom, crossed his path like a perfectly timed shutter click. They married soon after, her steady hand the tripod to his wandering eye, together forging a partnership that spanned decades, weathering moves and moods with the grace of a well-composed frame. By 1982, they traded Yorkshire chill for Ireland's rugged west coast, where Martin donned an underwater camera for bad weather. His images of sodden picnickers and defiant sunseekers, a splash of irony against the relentless Atlantic drizzle. Susie's laughter, perhaps, the soundtrack to those drenched days, their bond deepening in the downpour, a reminder that the best exposures happen when you're soaked to the soul. Fate's next frame clicked into place in 1985, when Martin and Susie settled in Wallasey, mere breaths from the Merseyside shore, and he made the bold pivot to color. A riotous rebellion against documentaries' monochrome mournfulness, inspired by American trailblazers like Joel Meyerowitz and William Eggleston, whose palettes promised to paint the world's weirdness in technicolor truth. The Last Resort was born from those summers, Martin's macro lens zooming in on New Brighton's holidaymakers. The garish towels, the melting ice creams, the unself-conscious joy of working class escapes that polite society might avert its eyes from. Published in '86, it wasn't just photos. It was a provocation, a love letter laced with satire that ruffled feathers. Critics cried exploitation, but Martin saw celebration, his images forcing us to confront the beauty and the tacky, the humanity and the haphazard. Imagine the uproar in darkroom debates, yet through it all, Susie's quiet counsel grounded him, their Wallasey home a haven of developing trays and developing dreams, where evenings blurred into critiques over tea, her insight the developer that brought his visions to life. By 1987, Bristol beckoned, a creative pulse in the West Country, and there they rooted, raising daughter Ellen in 1986 amid the city's cobbled charm. Martin's lens now a family affair, little Ellen's giggles the aperture to softer subjects, her tiny hands perhaps steadying the tripod on lazy afternoons. From those coastal confessions, Martin's gaze widened, his work a wandering eye for the world's whimsical underbelly. The 90s unfurled like a contact sheet of global quirks. Small World, in 95 skewering tourist traps from Venice gondolas to Egyptian pyramids, his flash-popping candor capturing the absurdity of postcard poses amid ancient wonders, a cheeky nod to how we perform our escapes. Controversy shadowed his ascent, joining Magnum Photos in 94 by a razor-thin vote, Philip Jones Griffiths decrying him as Thatcher's pet. Yet Martin's wry humanism won out, his presidency from 2014 to 2017, a bridge to brighter, bolder voices. Common Sense followed in 99, a flash flood of consumerist excess from Tokyo malls to New York delis, his saturated hues turning excess into empathy, inviting viewers to laugh at our shared follies. Over 100 books flowed from his shutter, from Fashion Magazine in 2005, a glossy gut punch to haute couture's hubris, to Auto Portrait in 2007, where he turned the lens on himself in surreal self-studies, masks and mirrors mocking the ego he wielded so deftly. Curating Arles in 2004 and Brighton's Biennial in 2010, he became the shepherd of stories untold. His eye for the overlooked a gift passed to emerging talents, all while Susie anchored the archive, their Bristol life a quiet counterpoint to the globetrotting grind. Heartache tested the frame in May 2021 when cancer announced itself, a myeloma shadow, incurable yet met with Martin's trademark wry grin, his treatments a backdrop to continued creation, no pity parties, just projects pursued with fiercer focus. The Martin Parr Foundation, launched in 2014 as a Bristol beacon for British and Irish photography, became his living legacy, housing his vast collection, thousands of prints, postcards, and photobooks that chronicled not just his vision, but a nation's visual soul. Awards piled like proofs. A CBE in 2021 for services to the lens, honorary doctorates from Plymouth and Bolton, his work enshrined in the Tate, MoMA, Pompidou. Yet Martin's humility shone through, crediting collaborators over crowns, his voice in interviews a gentle prod. Life's too short not to find the funny. Family wove through it all. Sister Vivien, a steadfast echo of Surrey roots, sharing childhood tailies over Christmas puddings. Ellen, now a creative force in her own right. Her son George the grandson who toddled into Martin's later frames. Chubby cheeks and curious eyes, a final, joyful series. The cycle of seeing passed down like that old Rolleiflex. The tangible hues of Martin's legacy tint a net worth estimated at $5 million by late 2025. A modest palette blended from Magnum commissions, book royalties that ripple like light on water. The Last Resort, alone a perennial seller, and grants from the Arts Council that fueled his fearless forays. Exhibition fees from global galleries added strokes, 6 figures for retrospectives at the Barbican or Foam in Amsterdam, while his postcard collection, that obsessive archive of John Hinn's kitsch, fetched auction highs, savvy sales padding the foundation's coffers. No private jets or palatial studios for Martin. His wealth whispered through philanthropy, seeding scholarships for young documentarians, bolstering the foundation's free programs where Bristol kids learned to frame their worlds. A quiet investment in eyes yet to open. It was fortune felt in the give, not the get. Endowments to Oxfam collaborations like his 2011 flood project, where arts luminaries clutched cherished objects. A poignant plea for climate mercy that mirrored his own generous spirit. To step into Martin's rhythm was to wander a perpetual village fate, His Bristol days a mosaic of mischief and mindfulness, where the shutter's click gave way to the clink of teacups. Dawn in their terraced home broke soft around 7 a.m., the scent of Susie's fresh scones wafting through rooms lined with drying prints, Martin rising with a stretch and a squint at the light, his Leica ever at hand like a faithful hound. Mornings meant meticulous editing, hours at the wooden desk in his foundation office, a stone's throw away, culling hundreds for the one that sang, Susie's input the harmony. That one's got your grin, love. Afternoons spilled into streets or studios, mentoring wide-eyed students with that avuncular chuckle. Get close, get colorful, get the giggle, or curating collections, his fingers tracing faded postcards like old friends' faces. Ellen's visits brought George, the toddler's chaos a delightful disruption, Martin's knees buckling under gleeful climbs. Stories of new Brighton beaches spun into bedtime lore, Vivien popping in with Surrey clippings, sisterly banter the balm to his wandering heart. Evenings wove intimacy. Family suppers where laughter lapped like waves, Susie's shepherd's pie the anchor, tailies of Ireland rains or Magnum mishaps bubbling over like champagne. Indulgences stayed earthy, a pint at a harborside pub, sketching passers-by in a worn notebook, or long walks along Bristol's harborside with Susie, her arm looped in his, dissecting the day's absurdities. The tourist in tartan socks, the busker's off-key ode. Weekends whisked to West Country escapes, Cotswold cottages for quiet shoots, or Hebden Bridge reunions where Yorkshire ghosts greeted them like kin, Martin's camera capturing not spectacle, but the soft fray of time on familiar faces. Through cancer's creeping fatigue, the treatments that dimmed his step but not his spark, he lived with levity, volunteering at foundation workshops, his voice a gentle prod. The world's your darkroom, developed the joy. Philanthropy pulsed quietly. Auctions of his prints for refugee causes, collaborations with Greenpeace turning environmental elegies into vibrant calls to care. His $5 million a canvas for compassion, stroked with the belief that images, like love, multiply when shared. It was a life of luminous layers. The global jaunts to Pyongyang's pageantry or Venice's vapid glamour yielding to Bristol's hearth, where every frame framed the profound and the prosaic, the heart's quiet exposures outshining any flash. As the final shutter closes on December 6, 2025, a Bristol twilight soft as faded film, Martin's passing after that long, luminous battle with cancer leaving a hush where once there was wry wonder. We're gifted not just grief, but a gallery of grace. His odyssey from Epsom's orderly lawns to the world's whimsical edges stirring the soul's own undeveloped roles. In the last resorts, sunburnt smiles, the foundation's blooming archives, the family's tender tributes, from Susie's steadfast vigil to Ellen's echoed eye, Vivien's sibling solace, George's innocent inheritance, we glimpse our vulnerabilities refracted. The dreams exposed in broad daylight, the loves that develop us, the legacies that linger in every overlooked detail. Martin Parr teaches us to lean in, to laugh at the light, to frame the fleeting with fierce affection. Because in the grand contact sheet of existence, it's the colors we capture, the quirks we celebrate, the connections we compose that etch eternity. If Martin's mischievous lens has focused something fresh in you, that spark of seeing the silly and the serious, the swell of gratitude for the gallery of your own life, then linger in this light with us a while longer. Tap subscribe to keep uncovering the portraits that provoke and soothe, the stories that snap us awake to wonder, and drop a like if his hues have heightened your heart. Until the next exposure blooms. Keep clicking, keep connecting, keep coloring outside the lines, because visionaries like Martin don't dim. They just invite us to adjust the aperture.